Hello and welcome to Jamie's Motion Graphics, episode 62. Today we're making this. All of this has been made in After Effects and all of this has been made from scratch. If you want to know how, just keep watching and I will explain step by step how you can make it yourself. Okay, here we are in After Effects. I will show you the effect first and then, well, how I built it. And then we will build it with, well, step-by-step progression. So this is the effect. Hang on, let me zoom in a little bit. There you go. This is the effect. And you can see it's, yeah, quite extensive. There are quite a lot of things to take care of. So how it works is basically we have the, well, let me show you over here. We have the text thing, which is duplicated for the other side, obviously in 3D. And then we have a particle generator. We have some effects coming out in black and, well, a dual color here. These ones are dual color. This one uses, well, the same thing over and over, just in different scales, and I don't think it's really that recognizable, although if you look closer you can see that this twirl here is over here and it's over here and it's over here. So yeah, you can see that it's a repeat of the same thing. So in my remake I'm going to use multiples, and obviously well, the text is just over here, but obviously this is just rotated. So the pre-comp here is, hang on, just rotated from here to here with kind of a point set here. Before this point it moves slower, and then after this point it moves quicker. I set the points to kind of a gradual, well, transition between the two speeds so that it wouldn't be too noticeable, and then yeah, well, that's it. That's really all there is to it. It's fairly easy to make. The background, by the way, is made with, hang on, what's the effect called? Kaleidoscope, but Kaleido, that's what it is. Kaleido, you basically can move around the Kaleido, as we will see, as you can see in the background now, to make different patterns, and that is just an awesome feature. And it is great for backgrounds and such. So I kind of wiggled around with it until I found a nice one and, well, just froze the layer. And that was that. So here you can see in the time remap, it is frozen at this frame. Well, this frame, whatever. And if you move that to another spot, then you get another background, because, well, it's an evolving thing. Anyhow, let's build the thing, and yeah, we're going to just restart the entire thing. Go to our project file, we're going to make a new composition. So composition, new composition, is also a button here, which is why I was there. 1280, 720, yeah, this is a little overdone. 30 frames per second is good enough. And so the last one was apparently 60 frames per second. Must have accidentally hit that. Our first one is going to be our background. Let's take a completely different color this time. So let's take like a brownish color. No, let's do it completely different. A green color. So it's going to be a green background. On top of that, we're going to make the kaleidoscope. So let's do a new solid. Oh, new solid. And we're going to drop our, well, let's do 14 on top here. It doesn't really matter. Oh, hang on, I don't need a layer for that. It makes its own layer. Yeah, Kaleido. So CC Kaleido, there we go. Drop it on there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just fill it afterwards. Fill is going to, well, it's going to apply a color. In this case, red. And well, we will have to see what we get out of it. So as you can see, if you scroll through the time bar, you will see different things, because, well, my flourish, as it's called here, is, I will show you. It's way easier than explaining it. So it will evolve over time. It is part of the evolution kit from Video Copilot. There you go, that's what it does over time. So yeah, that's why if we scroll through the time bar, we see different results for our kaleidoscope. And well, we just are going to pick something that we like. We can of course scale it and such. So first of all, we're going to tune down the size a little bit. Well, actually, no. We're going to put the size to this, and then we're going to do some rotation until we're just going to edit the values until we find something that is cool. I actually liked the thing that we started with. And obviously, you can just click on the layer, get your selection tool, and just drag around the layer if you want to. But you can also drag around this particular thing, I believe, in some way. Oh, here, center. Maybe that's it. Yeah. So if we change the center, we get different things as well. And yeah, maybe something like this. This is actually nice. So this is just for the pattern. Obviously, I'm not going to keep it red. It would be quite terrible. So since I have a green background, I'm going to make it yellow. Well, not this yellow. More like this. A little bit greenish yellow. Like this. And then we're going to fade it out a little bit by hitting the opacity, which is T on your keyboard, and just set it like that. You can also use different transfer modes if you're like, yeah, I want to, yeah, I don't know what many of these do for this particular color, but you can actually use the different colors or the different modes to get something else in there. Anyway, I'm just going to put it to normal or multiply maybe. Nah, screen maybe, but yeah, that's kind of the same as normal. So this is what I'm ending up with, and yeah, if you want something else, then just do that. Oh, I forgot to freeze the layer. So to freeze the layer, just right click time and then say freeze frame. Now this frame will be everywhere, as you can see. It doesn't change anymore over time, which is excellent. I am going to show you how to make this flourish in one of the next tutorials. If I remember, I will link it in the comments. If I don't, then, and you still would like to see it, then just leave me a comment and I will do that. Anyhow, now that the background, now we have the background done, and I'm going to rename this into background, by the way. So backgrounds, because well, there's going to be a bunch of more flourishes in here. Yeah, we kind of want to do the title plate now, which is just the rounded square, rounded rectangle, I guess. And we're going to make it not too big, but also not too small. No, this is not what I wanted. Control Z. We want to do that on a solid, just because I like solids more. So we're going to make it brown, because brown kind of fits with the theme. Let's make the first one super dark brown. It's not super dark, I guess. So if you drag this out, you can use your mouse wheel to make the corners more or less of a radius. So I like to have a little bit more radius. I don't know how big I need to get it, but let's say something like this. And we will put some text in it. So you can use the background to kind of align it. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be close enough. And what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this mask, then hit the subtract, and we're going to go into the second mask, so the subtract mask, and then set the expansion to something minus. And you can see what that does. It actually leaves a little bit of the thing behind it. Then we're going to duplicate the entire thing. We're going to stay with this, delete the subtract mask, and change the color. I'll show you in a moment, well, I'll explain in a moment what it did. I'm going to take a different color brown. And of course you can also do something like this. Where are you? Generate ramp. And we can set these, we can set these to different brown colors. Oh, let's start with the same color, and then we're going to make it a little bit lighter. There you can see it. Now let's set our ramp start and stop. So the start over here and the stop over here. And that way we have a little bit of a gradient. I guess we can make it a little bit lighter. There you see it. A little bit of a gradient over there. You don't have to do that. It's just that if you do stuff like this, it actually becomes a little bit more alive. And yeah, well, that can be really, really nice. Especially if you're making like a not so complex thing, then making these details is actually really valuable. This one is going to get a ramp as well. We can actually just copy paste the effect, or well, put a new one in there. Not that it really matters. We're going to take this one as, well, kind of the first one. Let's start off with the same color. Yeah, I like to start off with the same color because then you actually have some more control over what you're doing. And yeah, there you go. It's kind of a gradient now over the entire thing, and because I copy pasted the ramp, both effects start and end at the same spots, which also means that it looks a little more natural. It's not a big deal, but hey, if you can do it, why not? So text then, we're going to input some text. I had my text in the previous one. Let's do that again. Why not? So yeah, that needs to be positioned correctly, and it needs to be the right size. It's currently a little bit too big, and oh, I forgot to explain what that actually did, what all the fuzz I made before. Yeah, let's position this one first. It's about in the middle. We can of course change the color to be something brighter. Let's take something greenish and make it something like this. I don't know. You can of course make a ramp on this as well. You need to make it white then, and then you use it as a Luma mat with these things. If you don't know how that works, there is a tutorial on my channel that actually says working with Luma mat. Anyhow, yeah, we have the text now. I don't really like it, the color, so I'm going to change it once again. Yeah, I know, it's a little bit of a design process here. Let's, oh, I didn't have my text selected. I was wondering why I didn't change colors. Yeah, I actually like it a little bit darker. There you go, my text. And now the important part, which is getting everything to be nice and, well, stacked, and getting all the effects around it, things like that. So first of all, let's go back to our projects folder and grab one of these. Oh no, first, never mind, just ignore that. I'm going to explain to you what I did with the masks here. So I have two layers with masks. I created this one, which is the little edge, and then I duplicated it, and then I removed the subtract mask. So what it does is, this one only is this little thingy. So it uses the same mask for both of them. It's just that this one has expansion on it. So by expansion, it just looks at the mask. So it looks, for example, at this edge, and it just brings it in a couple of pixels, so that at every point the pixels are, in this case, 18 pixels, well, away from the closest part of the mask. And everything else, so that gets deleted. So it's only this this little 18 pixel thingy. Then this one uses that same mask, but without, well, only the first one, so only the outer edge, not the inner edge, and it's basically, therefore, well, everything. And if it were on top, you can see what it does. I mean, here you have it. It's just everything. It's exactly the same shape. And then I took away the subtract mask because I want that part. I want that to show. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. So you basically make the edge first, and then you copy it, and then the bottom part, so the bottom one, actually doesn't need to have the subtract mask on it, which is the middle part. Anyhow, enough about that. We are going to go into my flourishes. I already showed you what it does. It just expands over time, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to use this one. Just drop it in the comp. It needs to be behind the text, because otherwise it blocks the text. And as you can see, they're huge. But yeah, scale solves that quite easily. And we're going to scale it to about here. Position it somewhere that it doesn't show. Well, it starts from here. You need to keep that in mind. So make sure that you hide that spot at least, because it looks weird if it comes out of nowhere. It looks less weird if it comes from behind this thing. So what we want on this thing is to have the fill, which we already had, and we're going to use that fill to make it black or brown or whatever, something dark. Brown would actually work as well. Let's make it brown. So it's really dark brown, maybe a little bit more red in there. So it does show up as a color, especially after we add some more stuff, and you will see that it's not black. So for the rest, this is good enough. These are the background ones, so the ones that you don't really fix your eyes on. I'm going to duplicate it, Control D, or just go Edit, Duplicate. It's the same thing, and you will get a new layer. Oh, don't double click them. What we're going to do here is we're going to rotate it. Let's do like something like that. I don't even know. It's 141 degrees. Yeah, that sounds about right. And no, it's not the right amount. I guess something like this. Doesn't really matter. As long as you once again hide that spot where it starts, and as you can see, it doesn't really show up as the same thing for your mind, even though it's completely the same thing. It's even timed the same. So you can of course drag the timing out a little bit so that they time differently. So the one is already almost done, and the other one can be like, hang on, it's the other way around. So this one, the left one, is already done, whereas this one still needs quite a lot of well, things to do. Anyhow, you can do that, you don't have to. It's all about what you want out of this effect. And I think it looks good like this, so I'm going to keep that. I'm going to duplicate the bottom one again. Once again, Control D. I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure it's Command D on the Mac if you're working on a Mac. But yeah, I don't know because I have a PC. Anyhow, let's go here, let's hit the S for scale, and let's tune it down a little bit, let's rotate. It's all about just getting different things in there, and once again, just try to hide that point where it starts. It's over here, and then I'm going to duplicate this one, because I like the small one. I'm going to put one on the bottom as well, rotate, and there you go. So you can of course drag them forward or backwards in time. It's all, yeah, it's all okay. You can do whatever you want. Just check what it does, and then check how it actually evolves. Make sure that it looks good. This way it looks fine. So what we're going to do now is, well, last time I used the same flourish, as they're called, over and over, and that was just it. I now want to introduce a new one which looks completely different. It's just a different shape, and you can use it. Oh, that's the wrong one. You can use it in the the brown ones. You can also use it for what I'm going to use it for, which is the highlights. So this one of course needs to be scaled down as well. It needs to be smaller than the other ones, and it starts over here, so in the bottom part. We're going to move it around a little bit. Then we're going to rotate it, and it probably still needs some work in the scaling department. It would actually look nice over here. That way I don't actually need to scale it that much. It still needs to be a little bit smaller. Something like that. Let's make it like that. And now we're going to put a different effect on this because, well, we want this to be a different effect. It is going to have a fill on it. And the color is going to be something like yellow. Doesn't really matter. And now we're going to go to glow, and this is where it actually does matter. Because our glow is going to be what actually determines the color. Let's just use, hang on, red and yellow. That's what I used last time, and it seemed to work out just fine. Glow radius a little bit up. You can see that they're actually, oh well, it actually starts to glow now. But instead of the original colors, I want to use the A and B colors, and then you can see what it actually does. So let's tune this down to 0%. So the glow threshold is 0%, which means everything glows. And you can see here, if you, well, work with this, that there are spots where the red actually shows up. And if you make the radius too big, then, well, the red is just gone. So bring it back to where the red actually showed up. And then just use that. There you go. Glow intensity up, which means that the red is going to be a little bit more pronounced. And there you go. So that's all you need. So of course, if you want to do something different, so if you're like, I want it to be, well, different colors, or I want it to be, I really don't know. You can just change everything. I'm just showing you how to make something like this. I'm not saying you need to copy it, well, step by step. Control D, because we want one on the other side as well. R for rotation. Just find a nice spot for it, and so where it seems to fit. And so, yeah, just make it your own. I'm going to scale it down a little bit because it seems that it's a little bit too big for this side. And you can of course time these with the rest, because these are timed as well. For example, once this one comes in, mine needs to come in as well, which means that it needs to be over here somewhere. And let's do that for the other one as well. Kind of forgot to do that. So when this one starts to grow, the background one, this one needs to be over here somewhere. So this way it looks like this. Let's see, yeah, my computer is having some trouble with the rendering, so let's put it to some lower resolution, and hopefully that will at least get the timings right. You know, it's still having way too much trouble with it. Yeah, my computer isn't the best. I'm hoping to be able to upgrade at some point, but yeah, it's expensive, right? Still don't like the text color. I might actually change that again. But yeah, I'm going to make one more over here. I might actually just take the floor is 14 for that. But let's for now duplicate this one, and let's set this to half. Can't stand the resolution being that low. It just makes the effect look terrible, and it's actually a pretty nice effect. So yeah. Okay, like that. And let's time it correctly so that when this comes in, so this one evolves much earlier than the other one, so let's put this over here so that it actually flows with it. There you go. Can of course time this however you like. So I'm going to go with this. It's not great, but hey, it works. Now, what we're going to do now, and this is where the main part of this effect comes in, we're going to make everything into a 3D layer. First of all, we're going to take No, we can do this all. Yeah, we're going to make everything except for the background into a 3D layer. That way, everything can be observed by a camera and can rotate in 3D space, which is awesome. I'm going to add a camera. I'm going to use 50 millimeters. I have no clue what the difference between the cameras is. I just know that I used this one and it seemed to work fine. So now we get the camera controls here, the orbit tool for example, and you can see this is all still a flat plane. Yeah, that's the first thing we're going to want to change. We're going to make this into more of a 3D shape. First of all, the text. Hit the P for position and just drag it out to the correct side a few pixels. Oh, hang on, let me show you why we're doing that. If we go behind this, there you go, you can see the text. Now if I move this to -5, which is like 5 pixels, which is not a whole lot, because you can't actually see it here. You can't see the difference in where it is and where the plate is. So it doesn't show up on the backside, which is a huge thing for your final your final design, because otherwise you will see the text in, well, when you rotate you will see it in mirrored on the back of the plate, which doesn't make sense at all. By the way, you can make this into 3D text. There is a tutorial on how to do that on my channel. Yeah, it's kind of repetitive, but yeah, I'm making all these tutorials step by step, because then you can learn effects and apply them to things like this. Anyhow, these two are going to be fine. They're just as they are. If you don't want this edge to be on your final thing, or on the back side, then you can move it forward by a few pixels as well, just like I did with the text. Then yeah, this is where the fun starts. We're going to move all of these, and we're going to hit the P for position and just move them back, let's say 30 pixels. 30 pixels. Oh, that is terrible. We don't want that. Yeah, so I'm going to have to drag them, or I have to type them in by hand. This is the easier way to do that. So now there's actually a difference between the two, and you can see that here very clearly. They're not on the same plane anymore. So what we're going to do now is, this is why I do need to pre-compose this. So I'm going to pre-compose these, move everything to a new composition. I'm going to open the new composition, add a camera, because otherwise it doesn't work the way I want it to. And yeah, it can be the same camera. I don't really care. Now we're going to go back and turn on this collapse transformations, because otherwise the 3D effect doesn't work. So we want that. Yeah, I want to have a second plate, so I'm duplicating this one. I'm rotating it because it's a 3D layer, or it should be. Well, both of them should be. I'm rotating it by 180 degrees in Y, and then I'm moving it. So P for position. I'm moving it back 60 pixels. And that means that they're now equidistant to this middle layer. And that is awesome. And as you can see, my text, and if I change that on the pre-comp, obviously both of them will change. And yeah, well, this is the main part of the effect. So the main part has been created. Obviously we need to do some work to make it, well, a little bit better. But this is your 3D image. So if you don't turn these on, by the way, let me show you what happens. Well, first of all, you're going to see the text again, but also, I don't know if it shows up now. No, it doesn't actually show up. Yeah, there's an effect that oh, I can show it by putting a 2D layer in there like this. Yeah, you get something like this sometimes, and yeah, it just looks terrible. Anyhow, this is the way I want it now. So what we want now is we want this this effect to be faded out a little bit, because it's a little bit too harsh. And to do that, we're going to do two things. Let's first do the easy thing. First of all, reset the transform on the camera so everything is fine again. And we're going to insert a new solid. And the color, yeah, I used red in the previous one. I think I should use something greenish over here. No, maybe I should use red. Let's try red. We can always change the color later. And yes, that looks terrible. So yeah, we're going to just make an ellipse. Make it a little bit bigger. Well, it's an ellipse. It doesn't really matter that it's not big enough, because we can just extend the mask, as you will see. Here you go. That's what mask extension does. Then we're going to feather it until nothing remains of the middle. Well, or virtually nothing. And you can, of course, use the mask expansion to make your effect brighter or less bright. Let's make it decently bright, but not too much. Turn it into a 3D layer. Hit the P for position and put it at 30 with all the other crap. Then we're going to put it behind our pre-comps, and we're going to. So these are the title plates. And now we will see that if we use the camera thingy, it's in between there. So now, yeah, this is way too bright for my current setup. So I'm going to have to do something about that. Let's make it into something green, maybe dark green even. Yeah, much better. It fits the theme a little bit better. But yeah, this one doesn't really come out to yeah, too much. I want that to be a little bit brighter. We can do that in several ways. I'm going to do it in the easy way. I'm going to just tune down the effect, and you can of course yeah, let's keep it in there a little bit. So you can see that there's still a little fog in there, and my text is actually showing on the back side. So I did something wrong here, and that is not very awesome. Hang on. Oh, I turned off these. Yeah, there you go. It's mostly easy to find if you know what you're doing. Now, I don't think that green is the best solution. Maybe yellow, because it doesn't really show up enough. I want the effect to be noticeable. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. And now this one actually pops a little bit again, and we can of course also just make this one, or duplicate this one, put it like 5 pixels forward and 5 pixels back, so that you get the yellowness well, in front of the screen that we just put up, the little faded, well, whatever this is, faded ellipse, I guess. And that way you can make it show up, well, a little bit brighter as well. So this is done. Now let's put in some particles. So we have, if you do particle, you have 3 choices. First of all, let's make a new layer. Oh, select the composition, that would help. New solid. I'm going to just make it the same yellow, it doesn't matter. And we're going to use particle world with this one. So drop it on there. And particle world, as you can see, is quite a complex effect. It actually does quite a lot. We're going to turn off a whole bunch of things and turn on a whole bunch of things. First of all, turn the grid off. The grid is just something that we don't need, because we are not aligning it to anything. And that's why you normally use the grid. So the birth rate, we'll see that later. Same with the longevity. I think that needs to be a little bit longer. We're going to, first of all, go to the particle. So we're going to start at the bottom. We have a lot of options, and you can, yeah, make all different kinds of particles. So I'm going to choose a faded sphere, and you can see that that is kind of the fairy dust effect type thing. How to call it otherwise. Anyway, you can set the size, so if you're like, yeah, I want these things to be huge, I want these things to be small, I like them a little bit bigger, and I like them to grow over time, maybe, I don't know, something like that. Size variation can be, well, pretty much, yeah, don't really care. Max opacity, yeah, I'm going to tune that down a little bit to like, I don't know, 60%, I think. Yeah, well, 50. Because if you make big particles and they're really opaque, it's going to block everything, and you don't want that. Yeah, so they start as yellow, they turn into red, that's all fine. It does match the color scheme at least a little bit. You can also, of course, sorry, you can go, instead of for red, you can go for green. And that makes, as you can see, it makes it look completely different. So you can go for, you should take, because of the low opacity, you should go for bright colors. And you can go for, I don't know. Yeah, you do want two completely different colors, by the way. Because with two colors you can actually see the, well, the variation in color. And if you take the same color, it just looks very bland, and you don't want that. So anyway, that's done. We set the particle. I actually changed the color for the last one. I didn't even do that. Then the physics, first of all, turn off the gravity. We don't need gravity. We are making something that is awesome all by itself without gravity. So velocity kind of speaks for itself. The higher the velocity, the faster they will move. Just choose something that you find attractive, and just see what it looks like. So this is just a random frame, so don't design it just for this frame, but you can see how far they will travel. So inherit velocity, yeah, let's just set that to 0. It was 0. Oh, that's fine. Resistance, whatever, it doesn't matter. So explosive, you can also change this to, well, directional and cone and do all kinds of stuff depending on what you want. I personally want the explosive because I want them to go everywhere, not just in one direction. So then the producer, that is where the particles are produced. Currently it's very small and it's right in the center. So what we want is we want it to, here, this is that direction, obviously. So it's top to bottom. And this is the direction I actually want. I want it to match up a little bit more with the side of my plate. Yeah, this is a little bit too much, I think. I need to tune it down a little bit. So now particles can be generated here and move that way, or here and it can move that way, and not just from here and always move out. So actually particles will travel up from every position. That is the difference you make with that. So it's not a huge difference, but you will notice it. Then birth rate, this is how many particles you make, or rather how fast they get born. And I think we're going to do something like this. Then the longevity is how long they actually stay alive. And so if you keep them alive for a long time with very low speed, you will get a lot of particles as well. And as you can see, because they go from, I don't know if I open particle, yeah, here. We go from yellow to green, which means that in the beginning they're yellow. And here you can see that if I make this too long, then everything will turn yellow. Nothing will turn green. And the effect that we want is to have everything on screen. So we want to have all kinds of different colors on screen. And maybe yellow and green are too close together to begin with. So there's that. But yeah, this seems fine. Now all that's left is to check it out and to see what it actually does. I think the velocity is way too high. 0.5. Maybe this is better. No. Actually, that wasn't really the problem. Let's set this to 1. The birth rate is way too high. You can just scroll through it to see what the effect will look like. And we're going to maybe just set this transparency to be, the opacity to be a little bit lower. That way, here you can see that the effect is then a little bit more visible. So yeah, just play around with the values until you find something that you actually like. And that is really all there is to it. Well, that's mostly all there is to it for any project. So these ones, this is the background, and I find it a little bit too bright. So I'm going to fade it out a little bit so that it's not as obvious. You can even tune it down more. But yeah, this one is now 4% opacity. You can still see it pretty well. So now all that's left to do is just take everything except for the background and just put it into, oh, hang on, that's not here. Put it into a new composition. And now we have, oh, turn on the little sun here. So the collapse transformations, and I think we still need to, yeah, we still need to go in here, add a camera, because some of the effects will not work if there's not a camera in every one of your pre-composition. So here you can see the total effect on a black background, and now we're just going to basically add a background and add some rotation to our composition. So R for rotation, set the stopwatch, go to like, I don't know, 4 seconds. That's when it ends, I think. You can of course make it quicker or slower by using some time remapping. And we're going to make it a 180-degree turn. You can select both of them. Oh, yeah, whatever. And use easy ease. I can't use F9 on this because it will stop the recording, but yeah, you can use F9. So yeah, this is the wrong rotation. So yeah, that was pretty terrible. Okay, let's do that again, but done with Y rotation. And this one needs to be 180 degrees. And now it will turn the right way. Of course, if you want to rotate it the other way, just go to -180. And if you wanted to do some kind of weird spin, just fill in your values. It's easy enough to understand, I'm assuming. So what we're going to do now is, now it's kind of a bland rotation, like, yeah, it's rotating the same everywhere. Oh, hang on. Let me set this to easy ease, this to easy ease. Technically, this would have to be easy out, this would have to be easy in, but it doesn't matter. So what we want now is we want a slow rotation in the beginning, up till here, and then a quick rotation for the rest. So what we do is we go to that point, we set a keyframe, and we just drag it to the other side. So that way, it will rotate slowly over here, and then quick for the next part. So set this one to be, well, I forgot what it's called, but this thing. So this is control click, and it's a circle. I don't know what it's called or how to get it from here. But what it does is it kind of takes the speed of rotation on the left side and the speed of rotation on the right side and just makes a gradual transfer between them. It's better than if you do easy ease or something like that, because with easy ease it would actually stop rotating here and then start again, and that's terrible. Anyhow, let's have a look at what we made so far. So this is just 0 on your keypad, And there you see it. The colors aren't great. The colors on the last one I think are better. We can change the colors here, but that's not what I'm here to do. It kind of disappears. Everything disappears here, which is not great. But it's because of the colors, because I took yellow here, and yeah. You can of course diversify the position of your twirls if you want to. I think it looks okay-ish. It's not bad. At least it's easy to do, and the effect is pretty good, I think. Especially if you use more of the, well, the colors that I used in my original one. Let me see where you are. I'm assuming it's this one. No, it is. I really don't know which one it is. I'm just going to. Oh, it's this one. So here I used red with some other, well, mostly red with yellow and black. Oh, we can do one more thing. I just realized that might actually clean up the effect a little bit. So let's go to our thing here and insert a layer just above that. Solid. Make it black. And we're going to insert that just above our background. Obviously now it's all black. Go to your ellipse tool, double click it. Then we get this. Set it to a subtract mask and then feather it out. Hit F or just go to mask feather and just feather it out. And that way you get a little bit more of a focus on your effect. It's a really easy thing to do, and you can see that the background kind of fades away to black in the edges, and I think that that kind of makes it a little more alive. So everything seems to be fine. Not actually sure. You can make some easy mistakes. I'll go into that now. For example, this is a 2D layer and it's in between my 3D layers, which means that it doesn't actually work. So now it will actually work. And now the particles are in front of it. I don't really like that. Let's put them behind everything. And this makes the particles behind everything else, which means that my comp should change a little bit. Yeah, it becomes a little bit better overall. Yeah, okay. So yeah, mixing 2D layers and 3D layers, like I did just there, kind of cancels the 3D effect on some of the layers. The ones above it or below it, I forgot. But it means that, yeah, it's just not as good. Well, you're missing part of the effect. And by the way, this, so the offset here can be reset over here, and then you should be fine. Yeah, there you go. So resetting your camera is important for your final effect, because otherwise, yeah, you get, if you start with something like this, the effect kind of loses some of its intensity, because you're always looking into the gap between the two. And if you do it like this, you're not, and your effect is just a little bit stronger, and you will see that, well, that there is a difference. I don't know how to explain this, but there's a difference between your effect being like super sharp and then rotating and just giving you the effect of 3D, even though it's technically not 3D, but whatever. They're all 2D surfaces. But that's stronger than if you already saw what was going to happen right in the first frame. And here you kind of have to wonder, like, what's on the other side? Obviously, you can change the text on both sides. But yeah, you can figure it out for yourself. That's all I have to say about this. I think it's a good effect, and I think it turned out very nicely. And it now looks like this. Look at the spin. So the spin is a little bit too fast in the end, but yeah, what can you do? You can move it forward. That's what we can do. So let's do it like this now. And zoom in a little bit. And let's see it now. Yeah, it's actually better. Yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.